riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. Here's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me as always, co-host extraordinaire, Blanche to my Dorothy, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
Well, I don't think I'm aroused, but I am certainly enthused.
Enthused, amused, maybe even bemused? We'll see. I don't know. What's got you all the A's, B's, and possibly even C-mused this week, Tim?
Well, we've been spending the entire week listening to the 1995 masterpiece, Jesus Freak, the full album and not the single, which is probably what we should have done, by DC Talk, although you may know them better as Decent Christian Talk or Disciples of Christ Talk. This was suggested by Joe in February 2021. It took over 3 years of doing this show for somebody to suggest this album.
Yeah, I find that incredibly shocking. And I think if I remember the email correctly, he requested not just this album, but multiple Christian albums.
3.
Isn't that right?
Yes. I may have missed other people suggesting this, but...
You know what, Tim? If we can't remember them, it probably didn't happen. But luckily, that other fellow whose name I already forgot did, so we did it all week. Tim, I'm curious, before we get another moment into this show, you better tell me, do you hate this album?
I don't hate this album, Garrett.
Our listeners may be shocked to hear that. Knowing you as many years as I have, as well as I have, not surprised in the least. Please, don't get too ahead of things, but give us just a brief idea as to why you're probably super into this.
Well, this is bad. I don't like this album. It's derivative, but this is fascinating. Every decision is just so weird, Garrett. Nothing is as it seems. This album is the most bizarre album we've ever done. This is Corey Feldman level of crazy. This is Lulu levels of crazy. But what about you, Gary? Do you hate DC Talk's Jesus Freak and by extension, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior?
I feel like you're trying to do a thing here, but it's going to backfire horrifically on you as usual. No, Tim, I do not hate this album.
Oh, or Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior.
TBD.
Oh, would you say you're ready to learn more about Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior?
If he is anything like the man described in DC Talk, or if the experience is anything like the album of DC Talk, sign me up, because this has just been a big old 13-track mess of crazy.
Yeah, it basically is the same thing. They capture him pretty well.
I hope for everyone's sake that's not true. Okay, Tim, I'm curious. Prior to this week, you've dabbled in the dark arts. Had you ever heard of DC Talk or their freak, the Jesus?
I'd heard of them. I don't think I'd ever heard this. However, when I heard the title track, I started singing along with it real early. Like, I don't think it was. I think all the words were just so perfect. Like, there's nothing else they could have chosen. But it seems like I knew all the words beforehand. Garrett, I don't know, Garrett. Nothing is how it seems.
Sure. I mean, to hear that you were a massive DC Talk fan sounds right.
I feel like you're exaggerating a little bit. There's no way to be a massive DC Talk fan because this album's 85% filler. It's crazy filler. Like, each one of those filler songs could be its own harrowing movie, but it's filler nonetheless.
Right. It is. It's certainly musical filler, but it's so crazy. It's perfect for this show.
Yeah, I think so. What about you? Have you heard DC Talk's Jesus Freak?
No.
Untrue.
No,
I've played it in the car.
All right. Well, it must have been one of those times where I was pretending to listen to you or your stories or your music. In any event, no, Tim, I have not heard DC Talk Jesus Freak. I had heard of the band DC Talk. I would have told you that they were a early 90s DC hardcore band.
Oh, they were kind of.
So, for like half of a song.
Yeah. What is this?
It is a kaleidoscope of music. This week, we'll get to all of it. It's, God, I just want to get into it, Tim.
I like that you said kaleidoscope because that word's going to come up.
Oh, does it?
Oh, yeah. Kaleidoscope of skin colors.
Oh, right. Boy, out of context. Feel free to sample that, listeners, and do with it what you will. Tim, before you get canceled, that's your history. That's my history. And typically, this is the part of the show where I would say, take us on a journey, help us understand who is DC Talk and how did Jesus Freak come to be. But that's not what I'm going to do this week. Hey, Tim, you fucking idiot. It's not what I'm going to do. Sorry. That's a inside joke he and I have.
I spent a lot of this week taking Brad to the doctor, all right? And by doctor, I mean out of the house. It's not for you to know.
Wait, what? What are you doing with that boy?
We went out and about.
I assumed you meant veterinarian.
No, I mean doctor.
Really...
You know how people used to move to like arid climates to cure their tuberculosis?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were doing.
Just letting him run around a field.
Yeah.
That's good for him. Fresh air. Did you keep his muzzle on?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's a wonder that you can put a muzzle on that, I mean, is clearly meant for a dog and could be taken off quite simply. And he hates it, but never occurs to him to take it off. Whew, I forgot to put it on when I put him to bed the other night, and he just bit up that leg. He hates his kennel. Folks, please don't make a big deal out of it. This is strictly on doctor's orders. And it's not what you're thinking. It's not a dog kennel. This is an 8x8 room. He calls it his kennel, not us.
Well, he screams, and that's how we've interpreted it.
Oh, sure. It's a real Nell situation. Tay in the wind and the like. That's a Jodie Foster joke from 1993. Enjoy it, past. Okay, we need to get into it, Tim. As I said, you fucking moron, you're not going to do the history.
No, I'm
not.
No.
That's right. All right.
Didn't seem like a question, so I didn't bother to answer, you psycho.
No, my eyes had a question mark in them. Anyway, instead I am going to have the pleasure of doing Tim's job for him, and I'm going to give the history. I hope everyone's ready for a very short history.
I also did the history, so I will be adding on to your terrible history.
Then why did I do the history? Listen, you and I got in a knockdown, drag-out game of Yahtzee on Wednesday for who was going to do the history. And you won fair and square, full Yahtzee. Why did I do it then?
I don't like how you do the history, but I won, so you have to also do... Just start reading your history, and I'll fill it in with facts and...
You said you had a conflict.
I did.
Was it Yahtzee?
Listen, we could have probably gotten together and written a history that both of us were comfortable with while we played Yahtzee or instead of Yahtzee.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it took 2.5 hours.
That's Yahtzee.
Not a short game. Anyway, we're going to read my history. DC Talk is a trio comprised of Michael Dwayne Taint, Toby McKeon.
Did you say Taint?
Michael Dwayne Taint. T-A-I-T.
You're saying Taint.
Taint.
You're saying... Okay.
Anyway, and Kevin Mac Smith. Taint and Toby Mac, as he likes to be called, and we will not be, met in high school in 1984. Taint had previously been featured on Jerry Falwell's The Old Time Gospel Hour and with the Falwell Singers. So already a modicum of fame for Mr. Taint. When the boys got to college, they began to perform together as a duo. They recorded a song that McKeon had written called Heaven Bound. They performed that song before an audience of 8,000 Liberty University students, with McKeon rapping and Taint singing the chorus.
Now, why were they performing at Liberty University?
Oh, give me just one moment, friend. I've got a whole bunch of facts about this loony bin. That is their alma mater. Well, I guess not, because they did not graduate, but we'll get there in just a moment. But I love where your head's at. They performed in front of an audience of 8,000 good Christian Liberty University students, with McKeon rapping and Taint singing the chorus. The song was well received, selling out the approximately 3,000 copies of a demo tape that they had recorded called Christian Rhymes to a Rhyme. You get it, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't at first. Now, Tim, you asked, why were they performing for 8,000 Liberty University students? And as we mentioned, of course, this was where they were attending school at the time. They were at the totally normal and not strange at all evangelical college known as Liberty University. Now, Tim, I don't know if you're aware, but there is a code of conduct at Liberty University. Have you ever stumbled upon any of the rules in that code of conduct?
Oh, absolutely, Garrett. I am not allowed on the Liberty University campus. I held hands all over that place.
I think in recent years, somewhere around 2015, they did relax the hand intercourse rules. Ooh, you know what? Even that doesn't sound appropriate. The hand-on-hand action. I think you're allowed that now in public. But I'm going to read some of the rules. Then again, some of them might have changed in recent years, but that's not as fun. So just relax, everybody, and save the tweets. Put your phone down. The Liberty Way, as the code of conduct is known, has rules, or has had within the last 20 years, rules such as no sex, kissing, or, and this is my favorite, extended hugging.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you've ever hugged somebody for an extended period of time, but it leads to arousal.
Well, that's disappointing to hear. I have never hugged you. Well, let me put this another way. I have never been hugged by you for a not lengthy amount of time.
That's right.
How do you explain that?
Arousal.
Don't explain that.
Okay.
Some other very not crazy at all rules that I found in the Liberty Way. No cursing, not surprising. No R-rated movies. That is a rule that I did not have when I was 7.
Yeah, well, you had bad parents, but also this is a bad university.
Okay. No demonstrations. You know, as two individuals that went to a university a public university at that is no stranger to demonstrations. And Tim and I are 100% free speechers all the way, but I could have done with less demonstrations. Would have been nice if there were just like a couple less causes. Yeah. Like, I'm not even saying the same number of people couldn't be behind causes, but maybe let's prioritize the causes, figure out which ones are causing the most amount of death and suffering, and then we'll all work on those first.
Yes.
Instead of, we shouldn't put Ugandan orphans and the spotted Amazon toad on equal footing. That's all I'm saying.
No, also that can be the same cause. Raise money for both at the same time. Or here's a fun way to do it. You do an Iran-Contra thing. You use one to raise money for the other. Mm-hmm. So
how?
Maybe the toads have some sort of coating on them that can get people high. So you extract that, you sell that in the inner city ghettos. You take that money to buy the orphans the weapons.
I noticed that you went exclusively to the inner city ghettos.
Yes. It'll eventually trickle out, don't worry.
Good Lord. Anyway, other rules included no dancing, which is now only relegated to no social dancing. You can perform organized dancing such as a waltz, a cha-cha, even a merengue, which is a very seductive dance.
It is.
See the film My Blue Heaven if you're curious. One unexcused absence per semester, Tim.
Huh.
That would not have gone great for us.
No, I did not go to class for years.
A year or two.
Yeah.
It was fine. Listen, as a couple of 1-2 guys graduated college with some pretty good grades, you don't have to go to those first couple of years.
No.
When things start getting more specific and there's 8 people in your class, maybe go, because that means they're probably teaching something. But before that, it's in the book. Just read the book.
Yeah.
Oh, the last one I think I have here is no shorts in class. Can't have any of those arousing knees out.
Well, yeah, I can totally agree with that as a person who gets aroused by knees. Now,
is there what?
What?
Is there anything you're not getting aroused by?
Sure, plenty of stuff, but we don't discuss it because it's not relevant. Now, are you familiar with the Falwells, Garrett?
I mean, as much as the next guy, but Tim, educate us.
Well, I mean, this school was started by Jerry Falwell Sr. and was run until last year by Jerry Falwell Jr. Now, Jerry Falwell Jr.
likes to fuck.
Well, no, Garrett. He likes to watch people fuck his wife. Super allegedly, but he does.
According to text messages from a pool boy that fucked his wife.
Well, absolutely. But in October 2020, he sued Liberty University for damaging his reputation. Now, he did drop that in December 2020, but I just don't want to. I don't want to risk it.
That was a big allegedly on my part. Cuck. I was calling Tim that. No.
I was calling Garrett that because he is.
So after that performance, Tim, they approached Kevin Max Smith, a fellow classmate at Total Normal University, Liberty University, after seeing him perform the Imperials' Lord of the Harvest during a chapel session. And after seeing him rock that sweet cover, asked him to join the band.
Adds up.
I don't even know what Imperials' Lord of the Harvest is, but if it's played during a chapel session, it rocks.
Yeah, next episode, we'll talk.
Oof. The three became fast friends after moving to an off-campus apartment where those guys were getting into no good, caffeinated sodas and the like. The success of the group's demo tape eventually even led to a recording contract with Forefront Records in January 1989. Shortly after signing the record deal, the trio moved from, where is it, Virginia? Is that where Liberty University is?
Virginia, yeah.
Lovely name. Nothing off-putting about Lynchburg.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to move to Lynchburg? No, I think I'm going to go to Terror Island. Don't worry, it's really more of a peninsula. Yeah. Anyway, so recording contract, they moved to Nashville, Tennessee instead of staying in college, which turned out to be a pretty good call. They called the band DC Talk and the One Way Crew before changing the name later to simply DC Talk, which allegedly stood for Decent Christian Talk, though originally the DC was just simply for Washington, D.C. The trio released their self-titled debut album, DC Talk, in 1989, with their first single, that same Heaven-Bound song that they performed in front of those totally normal kids going to a completely legitimate university. After seeing regular airplay not only on Christian stations, but also on BET, which I personally did not know was a thing in 1989.
I didn't either.
Their follow-up album, New Thing, spelled N-U, was released in 1990, and while also going gold, it garnered them 3 Dove Awards, which, as best I can tell, Tim, without without doing really any research, is kind of like a Christian Grammy.
Yeah, something like that. Now, Garrett, they called it New Thang and their rap raucous. Did DC Talk invent new metal?
Yes.
Okay.
They may very well have.
Asked and answered.
Yeah, I shoot for my gut sometimes, Tim, and that felt right. In November of 1992, they released their next album, Free at Last, that had a cover of Bill Withers' song Lean on Me and a cover of Jesus Is Just Alright. I assume both are terrible.
Now, I noticed you missed Yo Ho Ho, their pirate-themed 1990 EP. Was that on purpose?
It was. Free at Last was even more popular and went on to become a platinum-selling album.
Sure
The rise of the popularity was cited as a move away from the rap and more into the hip-hop and pop side of things, something that would continue to evolve as we continue on their discography. The album also got them a Grammy for Best Original Gospel Album. The album also spawned a documentary, Tim. Camera crews followed around the band while they were out on tour for the Free at Last, the movie. It was slated for a theatrical release, and after months of promos all over Christian media, they suddenly ceased. It turned out, after filming countless hours of footage at their own expense, absolutely nobody would agree to distribute it in theaters.
That sounds right.
Yeah. There is a happy ending, though. 8 years later, a completely unfinished version would be released quietly on DVD for no one.
Also sounds right.
Jesus Freak, the album of the week, was recorded in 1995 and saw another major departure for the band, this time trying their hand at the popular style grunge of the time. The album did well, and they went out on the Freak Show tour. Next, in 1998, the band released Supernatural, and it had the distinction of being the highest first week sales for a Christian release, debuting at number 4 on the Billboard 200. This was also followed by yet another 60-city tour.
Yeah, each one of these albums, they're touring steadily for like 2 years on.
Yeah, it's incredible. But I got to imagine, like, there's just a bunch of like 300 people venues. I mean, how many small evangelical or even medium-sized evangelical churches are probably booking this band?
Oh, that's true.
God. Tim, do we need to pivot? Does Texas Toast need to become, I was going to say Jesus Christ.
I suggested this.
I don't think so.
Now, did you see, because they kind of stopped being a band right after that, right? In like 2001?
Right.
Did you pick up on all of the random little one-off singles and stuff they've done since then?
Oh, yeah. They just will release a single.
Yep.
Here you go.
Yep. Most notably, in my mind at least, when they released a 2002 single celebrating 9/11 called Let's Roll, not to be confused with a Neil Young song of the same title.
I don't believe it was celebrating 9/11.
Agree to disagree.
Feel free.
Have you also seen how many studio albums, solo albums, these three guys have made since 2001?
Oh, no, I chose not to.
Combined 34 between the three of them.
The show will never run out of material.
Absolutely. They also did the DC Talk Bahamas tour in 2017 and the DC Talk Cruise #2 in 2019.
Right. What you did force me to skip over, Tim, by going directly into their hiatus period, is the release of Solo, Special Edition EP, which contained 2 new songs from each member's solo venture and a live version of the U2 song 40 performed by all 3 members. That somehow won them their 4th Grammy.
Yeah, these guys win a lot of Grammys and sell a lot of albums.
I feel like we could win a Christian Grammy.
Yes, but they're not winning Christian Grammys. These aren't Dove Awards, Garrett.
Well, that's right. I apologize. So after a little scuttlebutt, Tim, in 2019, Taint said that they would definitely begin touring again on land in 2020 after appearing in a couple of various reunion shows strictly on boats. Unfortunately, that, of course, didn't happen because that didn't happen for anybody.
But if it was going to happen for somebody, probably would have been them.
Yeah, I think the only thing I want to mention about their history before we get into general thoughts is that this is a fervently anti-racism band.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they started Erase, Eliminating Racism and Creating Equality Foundation. These guys want you to know that all men and women are created equal.
Yes, and
they're all equally sinners.
Yeah, that seems to be the thing. They're not saying everyone is good. They're saying everyone is bad.
Exactly.
Which is kind of what I say.
Sure, but
different tone to it.
All right, that brings us to general thoughts, Tim. Where to begin?
Man.
13 tracks with 6 different musical styles on it.
Sure. Yes, it's incredibly varied. They do a fairly good impression of a lot of those different musical styles. Well, as we found out, these guys don't. Because they're just singers. The band.
Okay, well, this is, we danced around this, Tim. We've got to be explicit, and people may not believe what we're about to say. The 3 gentlemen who are the band don't play the instruments.
Right. It's a vocal group. This is like Boys to Men. but less sexual, less overtly sexual.
Sure.
There's a lot of sex on this album, Garrett.
Yeah. God sex.
Jesus. No.
Yes. Sex with Jesus.
Oh, yes. All right. I take it back. We
Son
were
of
talking
God
about
sex.
Okay.
Yeah. We got grunge. We've got general pop. We've got hip hop, maybe even soul. You get a bit of a R&B flavor. All of your Boys to Men, etc.
There's a little reggae beat at some point. Pop punk. There's
whatever the fuck the Red Hot Chili Peppers were doing in the 90s.
Shit. Yeah, that is true. I wrote that down for whatever song that is. We'll get to it. This to me was the musical equivalent. Like if you had sat me down and were like, we're watching Face Off for the first time this week, because Face Off has all the beats of a normal movie, right? Like it's an action movie, but everything is jarring. It's weird. And this album was clearly directed by some sort of evangelical John Woo, which is actually accurate because his family is super Christian and fled Maoist persecution to Hong Kong.
Oh, right.
But like an early song like Colored People, that's as jarring as seeing a child get murdered before the opening credits. Just every choice on this.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry for the 26-year-old movie Face Off. Every choice in this album is more baffling than the last. I kind of love how ridiculous it is. Nothing is how it seems.
Nothing is how it seems. It's like a spooky house with like trap doors and secret passages that all lead to Christ. Or more importantly, a really preachy guy talking to you in vaguely sexual terms about Christ.
Yes, they would like to make love to their savior.
Oh,
but not because again, you said like sex. Like I don't think it's sex exactly. It's
sometimes they lust for the Lord.
That is true. Yes, I take it back.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, but this album, it does the grunge thing. You know, obviously there's other weirder influences, but they have the loud, quiet dynamic. There's parts of this that are influenced, it sounds like, by acoustic Spanish guitar stylings.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. You think there's not a Spanish guitar or possibly even a 12-string guitar being played by a man with uncomfortably long fingernails? Guess again,
Absolutely.
This is DC talk.
And that,
get it together.
Well, hold on, because that man's not in the band.
Well, I guess he was just a passerby. That was handy.
Yeah.
Who's writing the music?
I don't know. I assume they've got a guy for that, a producer somewhere. But listening to this, you're just like, okay, they clearly listened to a lot of Nirvana's Nevermind before this.
Sure.
But this album, like this is to Nirvana's Nevermind as like Ted Cruz is to quoting The Simpsons. It's just, it's off.
They are. You're ruining a thing by doing it. Please stop.
Right, but here's the thing: the people that are playing the music on this are genuinely pretty good, and this is before nu metal and rap rock really hit. I think if they hadn't relied on Jesus so constantly, if they had kept this core group of musicians that are playing on this album, this could have been Nickelback or Creed. Not
easily.
A good band, but like this could have been like a Diamond album, right? Like you could make the argument that like this sold well, and we'll get into how well this sold later, but this sold well because of their built-in audience. And that's probably true, but if they had jettisoned the Jesus completely, I think that this would have sold much better.
I mean, look at fucking Creed. They don't even have to jettison it completely. Just slightly make it vague.
Be a little more vague,
like,
right?
Sort of vague.
Yeah.
Quit saying Jesus.
Yeah, without the overtly Jesus-y references, like I think this would still be, it would be critically derided and mocked.
Yeah, but it made 10 times the money.
Absolutely.
When you get down to brass tacks, there's really, of the 13 tracks, not that many that have that grunge sound. There's like 1.5, 2.
That's
ish.
Yeah.
But, so I think that you would have, to have the success you're talking about, I think that's very accurate, but you also need to be more consistent, because I got a real Chris Gaines feel here. I got a bunch of session musicians.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also got like a Weird Al feel, or maybe like an Apologetics feel is more accurate.
There it is.
Where it's as if they're playing a karaoke version of a bunch of different songs that happen to be popular but aren't by the same band.
Yeah, kind of a better Chris Gaines, because they were doing a bunch of styles of music that hadn't been popular for 40 years.
Right, yes. Yeah, but like...
It's just the way of the girl.
I love it. Yeah, but like every song on this, well, not every song, but like every other song is a completely different genre. It sounds like a completely different band is playing it.
They talk as though this was all a artistic choice, like the slow move from first rapping to hip hop to this grunge alternative, nu metal, of course, was all just them slowly evolving in the studio, which is very, very possible. All probably shepherded by a producer saying, like this, we want it to sound like Red Hot Chili Peppers. Okay, cool. You want kind of a Soundgarden opening? Okay, great. We can do that. Could also be Lit. Have we done Lit? We haven't done Lit.
Yeah, we have. A Place in the Sun.
Do not remember. What number?
75, Garrett.
God damn it. Honestly, Tim, the only thing that disappoints me about this album is, and it's a big ask, most people who aren't already familiar with this, and I'm so sorry if you were, because that means your childhood was super lame, but most people are not going to listen to this for this show, and I get it.
Well, I sort of get it. Go out and listen to Jesus Freak and maybe Colored People. Listen to Jesus Freak all the way through, though. It's worth it.
Oof.
Every song in this album is 2 minutes longer than it needs to be.
Ooh, yeah, and some of them 3.
Yes, except for Jesus Freak. Listen to that all the way through. It's worth it.
Oh, debatable. I think I've said everything I can say about this without actually referencing the songs themselves.
Oh, well, let's get into them then.
Track number 1, So Help Me God.
This starts off real like low-key tier 2 grungy, and then you get jam rocky.
I got a poor man's Red Hot Chili Peppers into a poor man's Government Mule, maybe even a shitty Robert Randolph situation.
Yeah, Robert Randolph's not a bad pull. Again, the worst version of that you've ever heard.
And then we open with, does he open whispering?
Yeah.
I've got something for you, man. Fucked me. There's going to be so many of those today.
Oh, yeah. We should mention this up front. If we don't explicitly say these vocals are not being whispered,
assume they are.
Yeah, you'll be right more often than not. Christianity has the absolute weirdest metaphors and references.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they got to be careful because science and philosophy are off the table.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, as is popular literature and culture.
General things that are fun.
Yes. But we get bombarded by philosophies that satisfy the surface. I flee to something deeper at the risk of seeking purpose. Purpose. How can I hang in this environmental state of being when everything I'm striving for is nothing that I'm seeing? All of that, first of all, means absolutely nothing, right?
Right.
Nothing. But
at best, he's saying he's not going to be taken advantage of by these fast-talking philosophers and scientists.
I think that he's saying philosophy is too surface level. It's too superficial. He needs to go deeper, which is apparently Jesus.
Right. Well, there's mysteries to be solved.
Right. But they can be solved by Jesus.
Oh, no, there's Jesus mysteries. We'll be right back to Jesus mysteries in just a minute.
Won't you take my heart? Won't you take my soul? Won't you come and make me whole again? You got what I need. You got what I need. You never retreat. Unto you I will concede. What?
There's a lot of submission talk going on with Christ.
Oh, yeah. He wants you to submit, Garrett.
Well,
Bend that knee.
Seems like more of an Old Testament situation.
No,
but anyway.
No, he still wants it. New Testament wants it too. He just wants you to want to do it on your own. He doesn't want to have to crush you into submission. You see, that's the difference. That's the difference between the Old and New Testament. The New Testament, it's
totally up to you. You're free to leave anytime.
Yeah, under penalty of hell, sure. But the Old Testament, he's going to smite you in this life and the next.
Yeah, you may just pummeled to death by toads from the sky.
Sometimes he sends food from the sky, and sometimes he sends toads.
Does he really send food?
Oh, yeah. I've written down a lot of Bible verses that I'm going to read to you in this. No, you're going to enjoy most of them. That book's got some weird stuff in it. So help me God to put my faith in you. So help me God before I come unglued. Call it my addiction. I can't get enough of you. He's talking about church, right?
Yes, but I think he's talking about a little something I like to call deity foreplay to him. He is asking God to help him put his faith in him. He needs to see a little something up front, help him wet that beak, maybe a miracle or two. Just help me. I want to believe in you. Really, I do. But I am not seeing a lot of loaves and fishes, if you catch my drift. So if you could just, maybe make a Corvette appear or some shit, that'd be awesome.
It's good to know you'd ask for a Corvette. I could be your god. I can afford a Corvette. I mean, granted, it's with the show's money, but I have access to the amount of money that could make me your god, is what I'm learning.
No, I am definitely in the character of Toby Mac.
I know he doesn't mean this in this way, but I want to put my faith in you is a troubling thing to say, right?
Yes.
I want to put my faith in you. That being said, Garrett, I want to put my faith in you.
You should.
Yeah, and you can take that in literally any direction you want to, because every single one of them is true.
That's fine. I take it in the most literal sense. You want to have faith in me.
Oh, that's the one way it's not true. There's a lot of poor self-esteem on this album, too. Like, there's a lot of I'm a dirtbag, and it's one of those situations where I don't think it's accurate in this one, like, because usually it's somebody singing about, a breakup, and when you get the I'm a dirtbag, the person's really a dirtbag. But
yeah, they've earned the title.
Yeah, but in this one, you get this infected by the skin I'm in that's starving with desire. I throw myself at mercy for I'm the chief of sinners.
Yeah, that's the thing. These are good boys. These are good boys, Tim. We've talked about good boys in the past. You see, you and I, now we are, of course, lifelong good boys. But these are really good boys. They are, by their very existence, sinners. Yeah, they came out of the womb completely useless and trash in the eyes of the Lord.
Didn't we all, though?
Nope, not me. Even ground.
This is my soul plea. I'm desperately devoted. I can't get enough of you. So help me, God.
So help me, God.
It's so creepy.
The song really kind of just devolves. Well, there is a blistering guitar solo. Can't leave that out. Let's get to potentially the most controversial song ever to appear on this show. Track number 2, Colored People. I think we should bleep colored every time?
No, I
don't feel great saying it.
You shouldn't. You're a dirtbag for saying it. This is a shocking song. We should also mention that one of the 3 members of the band that don't play any instruments, that just sing, is a black man.
That helps. But not all of them are.
Sure.
Which is better.
Well, let's get into it.
Sure. Well, we should set the tone because people are never going to listen to this.
If you get done listening to Jesus Freak, listen to Colored People.
Sure. But when they don't. This is super happy music. It is inoffensive pop, the likes of Deep Blue Something with vocals by Jason Mraz.
Sure. It dives into these weird descriptions of skin color and how they find all shades of skin erotic and sexy and have an individual fetish for each and every shade.
That's all very accurate.
Yeah.
The words in this song, I was expecting a train wreck. It's just a joy.
Yeah, pardon me. Your epidermis is showing, sir. I couldn't help but note your shade of melanin. I tip my hat to the colorful arrangement, 'cause I see the beauty in the tones of our skin. These are the lyrics of this song.
There's a silver lining, though. A song titled Colored People is unapologetically celebrating all of the various colors of us, the human race. It is a people of color. That is much better than what I thought we were dealing with.
Sure. But listener, try this out as a way to make friends, right?
Oh, man, I was going to say the opposite, but okay.
Okay. Go and meet a nice young lady or a nice young man and introduce yourself this way. Hello, my name is Tim. I was sitting across the bar and I just couldn't help but notice your shade of melanin. You see, I'm a connoisseur of the various human races and skin colors, and I think you have an excellent blend of, oh God, you stabbed me in the eyes. Oh God, you stabbed my eyes. Because that's
she was right to do it. Oh, she a big old fat lady.
Yeah, exactly. Because who other than a serial killer who is trying to match skin tones to complete a homogeneous looking skin suit would talk about people this way?
There is always the chance that they are also making a patchwork skin quilt. So various shades would be appealing in that sense. But still, not great. You're being skinned and made into, a quilt.
Perhaps they have one of those like middle school ceilings in their apartment that has the individual like panels.
Oh, and those are not great apartments.
Right. Well, yeah, sure. But maybe they're trying to replace each one of those so that it is a great apartment with a different skin color.
Allegedly, my father.
You know what? I'm bleeping the rest of this so that whatever... Go ahead. I apologize.
Whatever sort of normal thing I say sounds like he may be Ed Gein. Right. So trust me, this story's weird. Allegedly, in college, my father found himself in the possession of a parachute, which is odd because... He was neither a skydiving enthusiast nor in the armed forces, but he found one and chose to stable gun it to the ceiling of his home on the inside, to the ceiling of his bedroom, and run Christmas lights underneath it to give it an ethereal, sky-like atmosphere. My mother didn't run screaming from this man.
Well, they were both heavily into drug use at the time.
They claim they weren't, and that doesn't seem possible because while all this was going on, my father was wearing train conductor pants.
Yeah, and a hat.
Unrelated, though. Okay, back to colored people.
Yes, we're colored people, and we live in a tainted place. We're colored people, and they call us the human race. We've got a history so full of mistakes, and we are colored people who depend on a holy grace. So we're all one, even though we're different, and we're all dependent on God.
Right, because we live in a tainted place.
Sure. A piece of canvas is only the beginning, for it takes on character with every loving stroke. The thing of beauty is the passion of an artist's heart. By God's design, we are a skin kaleidoscope.
Ew.
Now, I absolutely do not think they are racist.
No.
I'm not accusing them of racism.
Great.
I'm accusing them of being comically bad songwriters because...
Oh, I thought you were going to accuse them of making a patchwork human skin quilt.
Well, they might be doing that too, but I wouldn't accuse them of that.
Oh, me either, then.
If somebody's making a skin quilt, you do not want to be on that person's radar.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Anyway, track number 3, the titular track, Jesus Freak.
This is very obviously a Nirvana ripoff, right?
Yeah, the very earliest opening sounds a little like Polly.
Yep, I get Heart-Shaped Box, I get Smells Like Teen Spirit, I get In Bloom, Polly. There's maybe some Lithium in here. It's really like they do the like quiet, loud dynamic, and then it seems to add a grunge and rap verse alternating dynamic too. I get a little early Foo Fighters in here, which I think maybe started the same year. Is Foo Fighters a DC Talk ripoff band? Discuss.
Nope.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
No, don't talk about that. I also get a very specific sounds like here, but it's because the melody of the song is quite similar, so we'll get there in just a second. Let's get into some of these words, Tim. I think the very first sentence or two, again, I don't want to be redundant, but it's important just how much whispering there is.
Agreed completely.
We open up with, what will people think when they hear that I'm a Jesus freak? What will people do, freak show, when they find out that it's true?
Oh. Now, okay, I want to focus, first of all, on what will people think when they hear that I'm a Jesus freak? What will people do when they find that it's true? This was produced in the mid-90s in the US. Mm-hmm. He's bitching about being in the vast majority, I guess?
Yes.
Like, what would people do? Because I couldn't find numbers for 95, but according to Gallup data, in 1990, 56% of the population considered themselves Protestant, 25% considered themselves filthy Catholics. So, let me do some quick math.
Take your time.
Wait a second. 81. 81.
Yeah, there you go.
81% of the U.S. population considered themselves to be some sort of Christian. So what would people do, say, think if they found out I was in the vast majority? Like, pledging allegiance to the majority is not a brave stance to take, right? Like, it's not like this song was about converting from Islam to Christianity in Pakistan.
Right.
Obviously, they're super Christian. But if you're going to do this thing where you're super into Jesus, take a nuanced stance on it. Because it would be way more interesting if instead of bitching about being in this like fictionally oppressed group, if there was some examination of like his own community to contrast what not Christians might think of him. If this song was, what would people think if they find that I'm a Jesus freak? And then contrast that with something like, and what would Christians say if they find I'm gay? There's no hiding the truth.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, some sort of conflict. But here's the thing, Tim, that's a choice, right? To be really clear, that is a joke, but probably almost certainly what DC Talk thinks. Allow me to play devil's advocate, but I get what you're saying. Yes, he is in the majority. However, as we are about to discover, he loves Christ in a way that a lot of people may find controversial.
That's fair. Yeah, he is, It gets nightmarish in verse 1.
Sure. I hope this is verse verse 1, but here's my fun little sounds like for you. Separated, I cut myself clean from a past that comes back in my darkest of dreams. Sounds a lot to me like she came over, I lost my nerve.
Absolutely, yeah. Separated, I cut myself clean from a past that comes back in my darkest of dreams.
Wow, you really listened to this album.
I did, yeah. Been apprehended by a spiritual force and a grace that replaced all of me I've divorced. Weird nonsense. But then we get into this. I saw a man with a tat on his big fat belly. It wriggled around like marmalade jelly. It took me a while to catch what he said because I had to match the rhythm of his belly with my head. Jesus saves is what it raved in a typical tattoo green. He stood on a box in the middle of the city and claimed he had a dream. So he's painting this portrait where this nightmare man, this nude fat man standing on a box in public, just writhing around so his gigantic belly tattoo is difficult to read while screaming about how Jesus saves. That's what this band is into.
Yes, and I am glad that you took us through the content of that because I'd like to examine for a moment that we've had a complete style shift.
Oh yeah, that was rapped. Sorry.
But it was a very specific rap. It is not your nu metal rap. This is your Anthony Kiedis rap.
Yeah, I saw a man with a tat on his big fat belly. It wriggled around like marmalade jelly. It took me a while to catch what he said because I had to match the rhythm of his belly with my head. It's good stuff. This is a good song, Garrett.
It's not. It's not, Tim. Maybe it is.
Let's get into verse 2 because kamikaze, my death is gain. I've been marked by my maker, a peculiar display. The high and lofty, they see me as weak, cause I won't live and die for the power they seek. He's in some sort of Christian ISIS. He's suggesting some sort of holy war in which it is honorable, if not soul-saving, to die in battle for your Lord.
100% accurate.
Wait, are you saying it's 100% accurate that that's what they're saying, or that sentiment is 100% accurate? Because I agree with both, frankly.
Oh, I was going to say I'll let you decide, but I won't. Your description, not their nonsense.
Fair enough. Can we get to my favorite part of this song?
Is it the John the Baptist rap?
No. It's before that. It's the bridge.
I'm so sorry.
I think.
All right.
People say I'm strange. Does that make me a stranger? Now, if we stop right there, first two lines there, genuinely compelling. You could make a good song out of that. Jim Morrison would agree. That general concept works.
Right.
People say I'm strange. Does that make me a stranger? That my best friend was born in a manger. I'm sorry, what? That my best friend was born in a manger. Do you remember we were in a movie theater? It was right after The Happening came out, M. Night Shyamalan's, and a trailer for whatever movie he was either directed or produced came on.
Yeah, it was the one in the elevator.
Yeah,
Devil.
and it on the screen flashed with "From M. Night Shyamalan," and the entire theater just broke out into spontaneous laughter.
Yeah, that was amazing. We always went, bah, no.
That's what happened every time I heard this. I had my headphones on, I was out in public, and when My Best Friend Was Born in a Manger came on, I cracked up. Because,
I mean, my notes literally say, why do they wait till the bridge for the best line in the song?
Why do they wait till track 3 for the best line in the album?
Well, I think it is very revealing, Tim. I'm going to read it in full one more time. Boy, it makes you want to sing it. You really, you have so much fun doing it. Anyway, they say, people say I'm strange. Does it make me a stranger? That my best friend was born in a manger. He does not have friends.
Well, right. Because, exactly, that does make you strange because your best friend is someone you've never once communicated with because that person died 20 centuries ago.
Maybe.
Fair enough. But like, get a dog. Like, that thing's never going to speak back either, but it's alive.
Right. It's a thing. It's tangible. You don't have to talk about it in such romantic and disgusting terms.
Yeah. And I say this all as a very devout Christian. I just don't want it in my music.
Interesting. I question your devotion. Oh, here's a fun question, Tim.
Don't make me choose between Christianity and cowboy if that's what you're about to do.
That's exactly what's happening. So go ahead and I'm going to stall for you. Really think it through. Where do your allegiances lie? With your weird cowboy sex cult or with your weird Christian sex cult?
Take that back, Garrett. I am not a Catholic.
All right. You're completely not weird and pervy Christian sex cult.
Yeah, that's fair. Probably cowboy. But the thing about the cowboys is they encourage Christianity.
Sure. encourage.
They
You're free to go at any time.
They encourage a lot of things, Garrett.
Yeah, so encouraging.
Yeah.
There's an instrumental breakdown, of course.
Yeah, and it's not bad. It's not
really not
good, but again, it's not any of the people in the band playing it, so who gives a shit? Do you want to take us through the John the Baptist bit?
Oh, God, yeah. So this is wrapped. I don't know that I'll bother with that, but I'll go through it quickly, Tim, because it's long and I'm not sure it's going to pay off. But literally, this is maybe the first and hopefully only rap song ever created about John the Baptist. There was a man from the desert with naps in his head. The sand that he walked was also his bed. The words that he spoke made the people assume that there wasn't much left in the upper room, which, side note, nobody's ever once called anyone's brain the upper room, so you can just piss off with that. Continuing on, with skins on his back and hair on his face, they thought he was strange by the locusts he ate. You see, the Pharisees tripped when they heard him speak until the king took his head. Oh, this Jesus freak. Not knowing who John the Baptist is, I found this to be completely meaningless.
That's fair.
Then we get a lot of choruses, some instrumental business, and I think we rap. Is that about right? Or wrap it up.
Yep.
Is that about right? All right. Track number 4, Tim. What if I stumble?
What if I stumble? Or what if I fall?
Don't get ahead of things, Tim. Let's talk about the styling. We change again
What if I lose my step, make fools of us all? This is what you do every episode, you son of a bitch. Finally, I have one that fits my personal stylings. You will let me have
amazing.
this.
So this is all delivered. Now, Tim, you keep me honest here. This is the best I could come up with. It's sort of a Sting, Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel thing.
It is, but it's like those guys are performing in a church. First of all, this begins with spoken word like this is some sort of Christian Sublime song about smoking exactly 2 joints.
Right. And he sounds way too much like George Carlin for my liking.
Yes. So the vocals of this song, they're delivered, I agree, the Sting, Phil Collins, but it's like contemporary church service. You know, it's
sure.
bullshit church music. But this intro, this is Brennan Manning, whoever the fuck that is. The single greatest cause of atheism in the world today is Christians who acknowledge Jesus with their lips, then walk out the door and deny him by their lifestyle. That is what an unbelieving world simply finds unbelievable. I don't think that's true.
No, it's not good. It's certainly it's a bullet point.
Sure. But the greatest single cause of atheism in the world today is that people don't understand the true potential power that you get with the Bible. There are Bible powers, Garrett. Yes, there are.
I doubt it.
2 Kings 2, 23-24. From there, Elisha went up to Bethel. As he was walking up the path, some small boys came out of the city and harassed him, chanting, "Go up, Baldy, go up." I think that means get the fuck out of here.
I know how this story ends. It's like the only Bible story I know.
He turned around, looked at them, and cursed them in the name of the Lord. Then 2 female bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the children. Garrett, if people knew that you can have bears just do your dirty work, a lot more of them would be Christians, and there would presumably be a lot more bear-related maulings in our culture.
Here's the problem. There are 2 things that are very different about today than when this story takes place.
Less roaming bears? Is that what you're going to say?
I was going to say a lot less bears and a lot more Christians. The bear to Christian ratio is way off. I don't think you have full dominion over bears anymore.
That's true. But what if you focused just on that? Because there can't be that many Christians that are focusing on their bear powers.
Well, if you're walking around telling every Tom, Dick, and Harry that they command the bears
That's
with their
true.
Bible,
What we should do is instead of telling people this, we should get a couple of bears.
I'm curious if the Bible still works if I don't believe in it.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, you're out.
Do you see my face right now?
Yeah.
You know what this face is?
It's a face of sadness because you don't have bear powers.
Once again, you have misread basic facial gestures. That's skepticism. I don't think you know how the Bible works.
What if I fall? What if I lose my step? I make fools of us all.
I mean, that is the opening of the song.
That's pretty much the whole song. It's a song about having doubt that you will live up to the awesome example set by biblical figures that murdered 42 children with bears.
You know, Tim, I didn't catch it till just this moment. It's almost Bono.
Yeah.
It's mostly Sting, but is this the one that opens with is this one for the people?
Yes.
Is this one for the Lord? Yeah. Real pretentious asshole. I don't know, man. If you could be just a little bit more pretentious, I don't know, give me some Bono. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
perhaps this one's for the Lord. maybe all your other songs, those are for you. This one's for the Lord. For the Lord.
This one goes out.
Fucked me.
This one goes out to a really good friend of mine. He's out in the crowd tonight. He's all around us. Jesus, this one's for you. And then he does like a shitty one. They're like,
And then he plays Hallelujah.
oh, well, then he raps Hallelujah. Go see episode 1.
Episode 2.
I don't know that that's true. Anyway, back to What If I Stumble, Tim. I am very curious about the details here. So now that I remember this Sting ripoff, which is not where you want to be, he says, my conflict still remains. Holiness is calling in the midst of courting fame. I think that he's not really being bashful here. I think that his conflict is that holiness is calling in the midst of his courting fame. And as we all know, with fame, especially this type of fame, comes groupies. So he is trying to remain holy, but he also wants to fuck. Or maybe, these are good boys. I keep forgetting that. Maybe aggressively make out.
Yeah, make out on the couch like some sort of Morgan Wallen.
Probably on the couch making out right now with some cool dude. I'm gonna need some whiskey glasses.
Yeah.
I changed it.
Yeah, it's better your way. Of course it is. Yeah, it's
Because I
basically...
see the trust in their eyes. Though the sky's falling, they need your love in their lives. Compromise is calling.
Yeah.
Question.
Go on.
He sees the trust in the groupie's eyes. Though the sky is falling, probably him putting them through a gauntlet of sin, I would assume. They need your love in their lives. Now, that's probably him saying they need God in their lives, right? Christ?
It is, because it's capitalized. By the way, all of the pronouns that refer to God throughout these lyrics are capitalized.
Well, I always go through the exercise of lowercasing all of the words in the lyrics as I copy them down to make sure that no one word stands out over the others.
You're crazy.
I also put them end to end and remove all punctuation.
Remove all punctuation and spaces. Yes, this
And
is why
spaces.
you're so bad at reading.
If it's good enough for Shakespeare, it's good enough for me.
I don't think Shakespeare did that.
I'm pretty sure he did, Tim.
Oh, all right.
Check your Bible. Okay.
Do they see the fear in my eyes? Are they
What?
so revealing? This time I cannot disguise all the doubt I'm feeling.
So that brings me to my big question, Tim. I think this guy thinks that his seed is putting the belief of Christ in these young women.
I don't think so. I think he believes that them receiving his seed is stealing part of that Jesus from him.
You know what? You're 100% right. I was picturing more of a communion situation, if you know what I mean. Body of Christ. But I think... After dark. Sorry, I've upset myself. My alternative, though, is what I think you're saying is actually correct. I think that he is compelled, of course, as we all are, to drop loads in hot ladies. But in this case, he knows that that is stealing some of his passion, some of his enthusiasm, nay, love for Jesus Christ. They are stealing his glory. Glory?
Yes.
His light?
His
What do we
glory.
call it?
Glory.
His glory. And all the while, Tim, being a disgusting sinner.
Yes.
Having that intercourse out of wedlock and God knows what else. I think you nailed it. Let's see. Let's make sure we get all the creepy lines from this song out. He says, I hear you whispering my name. You say, my love for you will never change, never change. And then he does the chorus 3 times. I'm wondering, Tim, is that him giving himself permission to be bathed in that sin? He knows his love will never change, no matter what he does.
Yeah, that could be, because the what if I stumble part, he's worried about sinning, and then he comes around and he's like, no, God will forgive me. I can do the bad thing again. I can strangle one more time.
Oh, it always comes back to that. I don't know if this guy's a strangler. If anything, he's more of a Skinner.
Oh no, that wasn't about him.
What? Wait. How do you know we've changed main characters?
Oh no, because I brought up the strangling example. I wasn't saying that in reference to him specifically. That's just
Oh,
a
I
general
see.
strangling.
Were you talking about yourself?
No, definitely not that.
Were you talking about the West Campus Strangler?
Yes.
Wink. Yeah, then we get the chorus 3 times in a row. One of those times they call it an outro, but don't be fooled. It's the chorus.
Yeah, this one is ridiculously repetitive. There's so much what if I stumble? What if I fall? What if I lose my step? Make fools of us all. I don't remember any of the other words, so that's all I can sing.
God, he almost has like a George Michael on the lyrics you keep reading. What if I stumble? What if I fall? It's very soft and sweet. Anyway, I think we've exhausted this. What do you say?
Yeah, let's move on. Track number 5, Day by Day.
Feet down Alice Street and sometimes you creep, I never see you.
This is more like mid-90s generic sounding rock, but it's...
Yeah, but with a delivery that is weirdly jazzy.
Sure, and also the lyrics are completely insane, but they're so unapologetic. Everything is treated like we are all completely on board from day one.
Oh yeah, we are all Jesus freaks, Tim.
Christian ISIS.
Crisis. CHRISIS. Yeah, I want to try to emulate at least a little bit. I won't do it long because if you listen to this too long, you'll go crazy. But the delivery, Tim, I'll just read a little bit, but it's almost like a jazzy, seductive, lascivious delivery.
Oh, yeah.
It's Spider-Man 3 Tobey Maguire delivery. When he hits the woman. I lead a simple life, I take a day at a time. I spend my mornings with God before I hit the grind. And it goes on like this, like some sort of animated wolf or skunk.
Yeah. What do you mean you spend your mornings with God?
Maybe that's his neighbor, Jesus.
The subtleties of darkness never cease to amaze as a physical world creates a spiritual haze. What does that mean?
It means that he is unable to see Christ through the haze created by the physical world, Tim. Well, so when did it become okay to just throw around physical world? Like there's a, like,
well, I think again for him, I think there is a second world, a metaphysical world that he lives partially in.
Well, that goes back to your original point. Like this all just assumes we're all super on board, not just a little on board, Jesus freak levels on board. When he says like, oh, the physical world, as opposed to the, what did you call it there? The metaphysical world?
Yeah.
That's not a thing for most of us. This isn't Beetlejuice.
It's not a thing for any of us. It's just some people are pretending it's a thing.
Good for them.
Like me, as a strong Christian.
Right. Then we switch it up mid-song to a chorus that is super up-tempo and almost a little like a 70s disco drum rhythm with whisper singing. They go day by day, day by day, day by day.
Then it goes on, it kind of sounds like Jesus might be stalking this guy.
Interesting.
In verse 2, they say, you sweep your feet down alley streets. Sometimes you creep, I never see you coming. Monday, man, you're on my back, like a knapsack strapped with my heavy burden. No, you cannot condemn me. I won't buy your bag of goods. You got nothing for me. Anyway, that's why I pray. Come on.
Oh, that's Satan, too.
Oh.
Yeah, Satan can be found in almost every back alleyway. That's where drugs and blowjobs are happening left, right, and center.
I'm sorry, what's happening in alleyways?
Drugs and fellatio.
I like both of those things.
Alleyway fellatio and drugs are not the fellatio and drugs you seek.
Oh, I gotcha. They're bad drugs and fellatio.
Wow, there's no such thing as bad drugs and fellatio, Tim. I mean, come on. That's like saying there's such a thing as bad drugs and fellatio. It's just not a thing.
Fair enough.
There's not much here. Tim, you read most of it. He wants to get in good with the Lord. He wants to see him more clearly, love him more dearly, and follow him more nearly. And he wants to avoid that knapsack known as Satan with all his blowjobs and alleyway drugs.
Track number 6, Mrs. Morgan.
I'm Catherine Morgan, and I'm the next door neighbor to the...
Well, this will be short and sweet.
Yep, we've got a skit.
This is not a skit.
Sure.
This is an interview.
Okay, I think this should count as a skit.
It's a true story.
Maybe.
I did the research, Tim. So Mrs. Morgan is a 57-second interview with a very old woman. It's an interview over a beat for some reason. And the old woman, of course, is the titular Mrs. Morgan. She lived in the house next to the one that the band actually purchased to record this album in Franklin, Tennessee. There isn't anything terribly interesting about it, aside from the fact that they just chose to move to Franklin, Tennessee, buy a house, build a studio, and inconvenience everybody in that neighborhood.
Sure.
If somebody started recording an album next to me, actually, I know for a fact, so like 1 block from this apartment is a house where somebody's clearly recording an album, and it's so fucking loud. I don't know how their neighbors are putting up with it. Track number 7, Between You and Me. There may be a veto coming in.
Oh, that's
some
fair. This song feels like a suicide note post-breakup with either a lady or a Jesus.
Yeah, once again, we get a wild departure from the sound. Now we're leaning way more into the hip-hop and R&B. I think, Tim, you probably don't even know this song. Best approximation I can give our listeners is Seal's Crazy.
Oh, I know Crazy.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so kind of a poor man's Seal's Crazy.
I know everything Seal's ever done. Which one is Seal? Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, that's not this.
Oh.
Anyway,
Sorrow.
just between you and me, I've got something to say. Get it straight before the sun goes down. Question. What's his deal with the sun?
Yeah, what happens at night? Satan, I think. Satan comes out.
I think it might be a metaphor for death.
Oh, confession needs to be made. Recompense is my way to freedom now. Just something between you and me. I've got something to say. Yeah, he's terrified because he's going to kill himself, but he's got to get right with the Lord before he does.
He says, if confession is the road to healing, forgiveness is the promised land. I'm reaching out in my conviction. I'm longing to make amends. So I'm sorry for the words I've spoken, for I've betrayed a friend. We've got a love that's worth preserving and a bond I will defend. Question. Is that friend God or this woman he's wronged?
He's wronged no women, Garrett. He only has a relationship with God. God is his friend. That's the friend. Wow. He's betrayed God. You betray the law!
I am a sinner.
Yeah. In my pursuit of God, I thirst for holiness. As I approach the sun, I must consider this. Offenses unresolved, they'll keep me from the throne. Before I go to him, my wrong must be atoned. He's super into dying. He just needs to get right with the Lord before he does, because he's also super scared of hell.
Right, but he can't kill himself.
Sure, that's why suicide by cop is so popular.
If you jump from a bridge, and that bridge is quite high, and you land upon concrete, and your body turns into pudding, is that suicide, or did the pavement kill you, or gravity?
I think it counts as suicide. Now, you have said, and I quote you directly, this wasn't in conversation, you cannot blame me for the crimes of gravity. You said that, and I will reveal the context here. You had recently pushed somebody off something high. All right, there's the context. That's what you did. That was your defense, and it worked. My point is, if you push somebody off of a bridge and they turn into the titular pudding here, you will be charged with murder. So I think that you will also be charged with suicide in the eyes of God.
Yeah, but St. Peter's no court of law. Or do you get some sort of heaven lawyer?
No, I don't think so. I think that God knows, like, this is kind of your fault.
Okay. So...
He knows your intentions. He knows your heart. What if I stumble?
Well, then suicide by... No, don't sing that song. Then suicide by cop doesn't work either, because he knows your intent.
Sure it does. Well, sure, he knows your intent, but the other guy is pulling the trigger. If he doesn't do that, you don't die, right? So you can antagonize him. If you get a cop where you antagonize the shit out of him and he never kills you, right? Like, that's a possibility. See, it's like rolling the dice. So if I were to say, you roll the dice, if it lands on 2, you get shot in the head. That's not suicide. That's a fun game.
Oh, okay. What if you just play Russian roulette? That's not suicide.
Absolutely. Of course not. That's just a game.
Okay.
Now,
so
if you play Russian roulette with a gun that has a clip, now that's suicide.
Yeah, that makes sense. I thought you were just going to say fully loaded or alone.
But still, it's still a game as long as you only do it once. If you spin it 6 times, it's getting closer to being suicide. It's a spectrum,
I'd say
is what
you
I'm
spin
saying.
at 3. Even at 3 spins. That's it. That's 3 spins of a half-loaded revolver is attempted suicide.
Cool.
What are we talking about? Oh, right. The weird Spanish guitar solo that's in the middle of this song.
Oh, yeah. Let's not talk about it, though.
I have more questions. So as you read, Tim, as I approach the sun, I must consider this. Offenses unresolved, they'll keep me from the throne. First question, as I approach the sun, son of God, is that what we're saying here?
Sure.
Okay. Offenses unresolved, they'll keep me from the throne. Logic question for you, Tim. You, as our resident Christian expert and paella expert.
We can just call me Jesus Freak. That covers both of those.
Does it cover the... Yeah, I guess it covers the God part too. Okay, as our resident Jesus Freak, are all humans that accept Jesus Christ God's children?
Yes.
Is Jesus Christ the Son of God?
Yes.
Did Jesus Christ ascend to heaven to sit at the right hand of the Lord?
Yes.
When you die and ascend to heaven, do you get some time on that throne?
No.
Is there a smaller throne, perhaps next to Jesus' right, where you may sit?
There are chairs, sure. I wouldn't call them
Like
a
folding
throne.
chairs?
Well, no, but I mean they're like a couch chair. Like, think
But
about
if
it like
you're
a
God's-
couch bed, Garrett. You're gonna have a couch bed forever.
That doesn't sound like a heaven.
Maybe
I'm
not
already
to
in
you.
hell on earth. I think we made it, Tim. We get the chorus, and then he says it's my way to freedom 8 times in a row.
Yep.
Track number 8, like it, love it, need it.
And we have pop punk inexplicably. Completely.
It's almost a Wheatus song.
They get in the bridge, they get the real, like, Red Hot Chili Peppers rap, the like it, love it,
Oh, yeah.
believe it.
It's really a like it, love it, need it.
It's sort of in the
Don't leave
same cadence that, like, by the way, the rappy part of...
You're expecting it like right after.
Yeah. I don't know what this band is, Garrett. It's
everything, Tim.
Yeah.
It is the alpha and omega, the beginning and the end.
You'll never find peace of mind in your pool of self. You'll never find peace of mind in a sea of wealth. You'll never find peace of mind in your rock and roll. You'll never find peace of mind if you sell your soul.
Disagree. I sold my soul for peace of mind.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
There's a
Take
great
that, Satan,
loophole.
and take that, DC Talk.
Yep. You'll never find peace of mind in your Lucky Charm. You'll never find peace of mind on a hippie farm. You'll never find peace of mind in a one-night stand. And you'll never find peace of mind in your Superman. We got another song inexplicably referencing Superman.
It's like the third one in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
It's really odd. Now, Tim, you skipped over yet another style change. We get some Black Crows in here. You gotta like it.
Yeah.
You gotta love it. Not great, but
Yeah, I know you need some Jesus in your life is what they rhyme that with. You're right. It's 90s throwback rock.
at this point, folks, what are we, 8 tracks in? Yeah. It's starting to get a little much.
We should keep going then, man.
Track number 9. Oh, God damn it. Track number 9, Jesus Freak, Reprise.
This to me is more evidence that they're kind of trying to do the Christian Nirvana thing. And I say that because this comes off like Chris Novoselic screeching the Youngbloods get together at the beginning of Territorial Pissings. When he does the, come on, people now, smile on your brother, like just super off key and whatnot.
Sure. This is making fun of the old school televangelist style of singing, aka the John Ashcroft School of Music.
Yes, but it's doing that. We're fun, we're goofy, we're doing something serious on this album, but we can take a little break and, you know, have some fun. We're cool.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Tim. I happen to really like this ridiculous style of singing. So, you know what? It might be my favorite song.
No way, man. Colored people are Jesus freak.
Okay. For the uninitiated, this is literally the song Jesus Freak, or at least a piece of it, performed like a, late 80s televangelist. What would people think when they hear that I'm a Jesus freak? And that goes on for a while. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
To quote you from the most recent Cardi B episode, this slaps.
Incorrect.
This is fire.
Strike 2. What happens at strike 3? You could just stop. You could just stop.
Track number 10, In the Light.
Find a life on my own, apart from you.
This is a shockingly unhealthy worldview. I keep trying to find a life on my own apart from you. I'm the king of excuses. I've got one for every selfish thing I do. In his bad times, he's trying to separate himself from God, but he knows that that's wrong, right?
Right.
What's going on inside of me? I despise my own behavior. This only serves to confirm my suspicions that I'm still a man in need of a savior.
Right. So he moved out. Tough to say if they were dating or just roommates, but he thought he was ready to go out on his own, set his own stakes in the world, and damned if he doesn't realize he needs his savior. He needs to move back in with Christ.
The disease of self runs through my blood. It's a cancer fatal to my soul. Every attempt on my behalf has failed to bring this sickness under control. The only time that's appropriate is if you're screaming that at an original copy of William Blake's The Great Red Dragon and the Woman Clothed in the Sun before you consume it to rid yourself of its control over you. Unless you're a serial killer who is subservient to a painting of your mother in the attic, this worldview does not make sense.
No, it's all very jarring if you remove the idea that we're all completely okay with Christianity. If you were to look at this objectively, and let's just call Christ, I don't know, Mr. Bipple, And this guy believes in a man who owns a donut shop in the sky named Mr. Bipple, who is his Lord and Savior. This guy wouldn't be allowed to tour, let alone go outside and buy his own groceries. But instead, he gets to shout, I want to be in the light as you are in the light. I want to shine like the stars in the heavens. Oh Lord, be my light and be my salvation, Mr. Bipple. Extra sprinkles. And I think, Tim, what our listeners are really going to miss out on this one is this is the one that is sing whispering, as opposed to whisper singing. I keep trying to find a life of my own apart from you. I am the king of excuses.
You're not wrong. What you're doing is not inaccurate.
Once again, this man is talking about trying to break up with Christ, and he just can't function in the world without the ever watchful eye of Jesus.
Or Mr. Bibble.
Or, of course, in this example, Mr. Bibble. I would love a drawing of Mr. Bibble working at that donut store in the sky.
Ooh, yeah. And maybe sending bears to maul 42 children.
Make fun of a bald man, will you? My bears.
Track number 11. What have we become?
Mom and Dad are fighting as Rosie lies there crying.
Tim, I toyed vigorously with giving this the patented Why I Hate This Album episode veto.
We can. I don't think we should, though. Because, Garrett,
okay, let's get into it.
This is a song about interracial marriage.
Well, at parts, sure. That's where we start.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is a song about lessons of tolerance, Tim.
It's a song about interracial marriage and then abortion.
No.
Yes.
Suicide. I thought it was an abortion at first. I guess it's technically both.
Really? It could be suicide. You're right.
Yeah. Boy, spoiler alert. Let's get into it, Tim. A preacher shuns his brother because his bride's a different color. And this is not acceptable. His papa taught him so. It was love that he'd been preaching, but this was overreaching. The boundary stretching further than his heart would choose to go.
I know they're putting forth an anti-racist message, but I don't think that holds up with the Bible. The Bible repeatedly tells Israelis not to
we don't talk about that.
Not to intermarry with, and these are not my words, these are God's words, the less thans.
Yeah, real basket of deplorables.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of pro-genocide and pro-don't bang people that aren't Israelis,
and it's totally cool to enslave people. According to the Bible.
I'm going to clip that out. It's totally cool to enslave people. That is a thing you said. That is a quote from you
from the Bible.
Sure, but they don't need to know that.
Now, Tim, I was going to skip over these next two lines, but there's something that happens when they're said that I want to focus on because it might be my favorite thing. The lines are, like an angel with no wings, like a kingdom with no king. Did you hear anything in the background during those lines?
Was there a hawk screeching?
Yes! Yes! More specifically, I think it was just a raven or everyday crow, possibly even a grackle. But let me give it the reading it deserves. Like an angel with no wings, caw! Like a kingdom with no kings. But it really is more of a soulful caw.
Yeah, well, sure.
He thinks God is a crow.
Perhaps you have that backward. Perhaps he thinks a crow is God.
That's what I meant.
Oh.
Is that not the same thing?
No, Garrett. Those are very different things. One is he believes that he sees a crow and that's God. And the other is he believes that God is as mighty and majestic and up in heaven as he obviously is, but that he's a giant crow.
I wish it was that. Oh, I wouldn't have even made him giant. That's terrifying.
I like yours better. It's just a normal sized crow.
Yeah, just a completely normal sized crow with sort of a British accent. Hello, welcome to heaven. This will be your room. You'll notice we have a bit of a couch bed situation.
Yeah, heaven to me.
I'll be your RA, Jesus. You're a crow.
Delightful.
Yes, that's that New Testament really skipped over some details. But yes, I am a crow. Believe me, I've heard it all. I know it's probably pretty shocking. Feel free to really just soak it in. I mean, I obviously could take any form. I'm Jesus, for God's sake. But no, I'm a crow. Tim, this is a Christianity I can get on board with.
Yeah. It then goes on, Mom and Dad are fighting as Rosie lies there crying. For once again, she's overheard regrets of their mistake. When Christmas bells are ringing, little Rosie'd leave them grieving. The gift she'd give her family would be the pills she'd take. An inconvenient child, she wasn't worth their while. First of all, hilarious. And yeah, I guess it's suicide. For whatever reason, I was thinking it was delving into abortion.
I thought it was at first too. And then there is a chance that they're fighting over her because she's done gone and gotten herself knocked up. And then it's not just a suicide, but it's a Christmas suicide abortion.
And as we know, abortion is murder.
So it's a Christmas murder suicide.
Definitely not getting into heaven. And then there's a flute solo.
Oh, can't rule out that flute solo and some chanting.
Yes.
Then we get that Black Crowes style delivery again where they ask, what about love? What about God? What about holiness? What about mercy, compassion, and selflessness? To what end, I have no idea.
Yeah, probably not.
And then we get the chorus 63 times.
Yeah. Chori. There's two choruses. Choruses.
Track number 12, Mind's Eye. More shitty Christian pop.
More shitty Christian after dark.
Let's see. Oh man, I have been looking forward to this.
Oh God.
I have questions, and you better have answers. So,
it's erotic. If that's your question, this is Jesus eroticism.
It wasn't my question.
Oh, perhaps we have different reads on this song. Go ahead.
So, ignoring all the words you've said. The song opens with, in my mind's eye, I can see your face as your love pours down in a shower of grace. Some people tell me that you're just a dream. My faith is the evidence of things unseen.
I would argue that the evidence of things unseen, the evidence of your faith is that love shower.
Yeah, what's that all about? Sounds like, water sports, but
oh dear.
It's
After
sort
dark.
of a weird, Prince-style whisper talk delivery on here. I'm curious, Tim, when you picture the face of God, what do you see?
Now
I,
a crow.
now see a crow.
I'm not sure I can go back after that.
Prior to that, I'm curious.
I mean,
Would you say?
This is going to ruffle some feathers. No, I mean, I see, obviously there's blue eyes. There's that.
Man, that's the second least likely physical trait.
No, again, I think that you have to picture when and where Jesus lived, right? Osama bin Laden-esque.
No, right. Yeah, sure. That's a good example. We all know what he looks like. Great guess. Probably. No, I mean the face of God. Is he a hippo? Is he a crow? Does he look like a celebrity? I mean, okay, maybe I'm asking the wrong question. Let me ask it a little more specifically. Should you find yourself murdered in your sleep tonight?
Mm-hmm. Always a possibility.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't lock that front door.
Can't. Lock's broken.
Right. Still running an investigation. Open reward if anyone has evidence as to who broke the front door. Anyone at all. Total immunity.
Don't write in. I assume you're asking for listeners. I don't.
Listeners, write in hatePodMail@gmail.com. Who broke the front door?
Please don't write in. Because I know what they're going to say. They're going to say it's me.
Because you did.
No, they don't know. No. All right.
You broke it with a pair of channel locks when you were practicing your plumbing on a door.
Doors need to be plumbed sometimes. Anyway, go on with your question.
Who would you like, or what? Doesn't have to be a person. What would you like God to look like?
The Marlboro Man?
It's incredibly on brand, if not a little disappointing in its predictability. It could be literally anything.
Yeah, but that's what I want, Garrett.
Interesting.
Sam Elliott as the Marlboro Man.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's actually really hard to argue. Now, obviously, I don't go along with your weird cowboy sex cult, but I would imagine if I had just been murdered in my sleep and I awoke in God's kingdom in the sky, Sam Elliott would be incredibly calming.
Yeah.
Through that whole process. But it would be nice if you woke up and you're probably wondering what happened.
Do you have anybody else that you would like to see?
I mean, obviously the dulcet tones of Morgan Freeman would be nice, but I mean, if I can pick my God, I'm thinking I want to go something a little more interesting. Like
the Kraken.
Ooh, the Kraken. Yeah, what if it looked like, what's that big octopus fellow? Cthulhu. That'd be pretty cool, but little. Little Cthulhu.
Well, like a person-sized.
Okay, but like a Tim person, so little.
Well, I'm not little, I'm medium.
No, you're right. You're not little. That's I apologize. That's rude. Below average height.
No, I am of average height for a man who served in World War II, Garrett. They were our greatest generation, and I will not have you talk poorly about our veterans for one more second. Absolutely
it's an
not.
odd standard.
Doesn't matter.
Nutrition has improved dramatically over the years. You should be considerably taller. Why are you broken inside?
This song also features a pretty terrible argument from the existence of God, courtesy of Billy Graham.
Oh yeah, worst defense of the existence of God I've ever seen. Please take us through it.
Can you catch the wind? Can you see God? Have you ever seen him? I've never seen the wind. I've seen the effects of the wind, but I've never seen the wind. Can you see a breeze? There's a mystery to it. But like,
there's not.
Well, no, but okay, just take that on face value. Something is causing the breeze. Cthulhu. Sam Elliott dressed up as Cthulhu, but you still have that mustache poking through.
Sure. Oh, I mean, it's a terrible homemade suit.
Yeah, right. But like, you can make the same argument for that.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah, because the absence of something is not proof of anything. Boy, I'm really stuck on this.
Sneezing.
Right. Trees sneeze, wind.
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks. You know, you're not entirely wrong, Tim, in your stupid words. You fucking stupid person.
Making me feel like maybe I was wrong, given the way you're phrasing
No,
this.
you're 100% right, you fucking moron. They create oxygen. They do kind of sneeze air.
No.
You're not even going to give yourself an inch on that one. Nope. I like it. Really take yourself to task. Okay, what else goes on in this song? Not a whole lot. There's that terrible metaphor between wind and the existence of an almighty creator.
Yep, and there's love running down somebody's face.
Oh, yeah. It pours down in a shower of grace. Life is a gift that you choose to give. I believe we eternally live. Faith is the evidence of things unseen. People tell me that you're just a dream. Man, we read all this. Who gives a shit? The fact that they actually sampled Billy Graham and put him in here really is the cherry on top of this diarrhea sundae.
Well, apparently these DC talkers played at Billy Graham's poorly named crusades in the 90s.
How is that a positive reference?
I don't know. That's my thing. It's bizarre. It would be like as if our pastors, right, in this country, let's call them inquisitors. Like, oh, no.
They're just going to ask you about your behavior.
Yeah.
In a consequence-free environment.
I feel like that was a consequence-only environment.
Yeah, it was. Track 13, Alas, My Love.
You say goodbye.
This is a hidden track.
2.5 minutes of silence, then an acoustic guitar, and a poem.
This is what Garrett's high school poetry would have sounded like if he had committed his first serial killing by that point. But it's Jesus-y goth poetry. This sucks and it should have remained hidden.
Yeah, I'll give you a taste, folks. Alas, my love, you say goodbye. Wipe the poison from my brow. Alas, my love, this guilty night, it gives me up like a foster child.
Yeah. Again, they're not great at lyrics, but that's all they do.
Yeah, it seems as though, I think the whole thing's a reference to Jesus on the cross and the resurrection, right?
I don't know.
Who cares? Tim, how'd this thing do?
This album had the best-selling first week of any Christian album until DC Talk's next album, Supernatural. It hit number 16 on the Billboard 200. It stayed on the charts for 79 weeks. It ended up selling over 2 million copies in the US alone, so this is double platinum, quadruple myrrh, stolen South Park joke. It also won the 1997 Grammy Award for Best Rock Gospel Album. This was their second win in that category. They beat out Audio Adrenaline's Bloom, Rebecca St. James's God, Newsboys' Take Me to Your Leader, and Big Tent Revival's Open All Night. And as good as Jesus Freak is, and I think we can both agree it's very good, Becca got fucking robbed. Pray is a great album. It's one of her finest, in fact. She should not have had to wait until 2000 to get the Grammy for Best Rock Gospel Album. You are
on an island here.
The live version of this album, Welcome to the Freak Show, also won the 1998 Grammy Award for Best Rock Gospel Album as well. In 2002, the Encyclopedia of Christian Contemporary Music called DC Talk the most popular overtly Christian act of all time.
I hate how much research you did on this.
I couldn't stop myself. I love it so much.
That's how it did. Tim, what did people think of it?
There are 321 ratings for this on Amazon, 4.6 out of 5 stars on average, 82% 5-star, 3% 1-star. Jennifer Adamos said, I bought this CD for a friend of mine who is a missionary to West Africa. I hope it has blessed her. I was truly blessed by this CD, and I'll say that it still sounds fresh, as if it was released last year. This was written in 2008, and not the 90s. That's the coolest thing about Jesus Freak. You can be a new listener, and it doesn't feel out of touch. 5 out of 5 stars.
No more so than it did then.
Fair. Christina Lewis in 2015 said, classic album. Almost prophetic to a degree.
What?
Modern, but yet still biblical. Give it a listen. 5 out of 5 stars. This is by Seth C. Duncan of Dunkin' Donuts fame. I should be doing homework right now, or at least reviewing a more recent album, but something compelled me to do this now. I owned this album once before in 1997, but my father didn't like it at first, and before he thought twice, he snapped it in half, never to be heard from again. After having DC Talk grow on him, he bought it for me again for Christmas of 2003. I don't have much time to write as much as my other reviews, but listen closely. This album is the most gripping, thought-provoking, heart-wrenching CD I've heard yet about how hard it is to follow God and put up with all the criticism Christians receive from the world. It's not easy, and it's not all glorious. It's a struggle every day to be crucified emotionally like Christ was physically. It's the only way we can keep our pride down. DC Talk illustrates these points flawlessly with Jesus Freak. Being a Christian myself, but also imperfect as I am human, I understand the pain of being so misunderstood. But what have we become comforts me, yet saddens me in telling me that there are worse things to do than lie or think badly about someone, but then that I'm also a contributor to the world's long list of reasons to insult Christians. The album isn't pretty, but it is beautiful if you can understand that. Come soon, Jesus. The album reminds me of the fact that we won't last much longer without you, not even the Christians.
What's going to happen?
I don't know.
God, it's so alarming that there's millions of people that both think that and hope that someday soon they're just going to wake up and Jesus will descend from the heavens with a sword in his mouth.
Yeah, or possibly a hand sticking out of his mouth holding a sword. Or possibly a second face with that mouth open and a hand. It's gross. It's gross. I have one more. This is by Tracy L. Cothran. It's from 2017, and it says simply, I thought I was getting a book on CD. 1 out of 5 stars. Now, do you know why she said that, Garrett? Because you missed this in the history.
DC Talk?
No.
Oh, the book they did.
Yes, Jesus Freak Stories. This is the Amazon description of the book. You may think of martyrs as those who gave their lives for the faith in the early church. But today, Christians around the world continue to stand boldly for Christ, despite ongoing persecution. These are their stories.
Right. The shortened biographies and incidents in the lives of famous and lesser-known Christians who stood up for their faith. What?
Yep. She wanted that read to her and instead got music. 1 out of 5 stars.
That's the one person that should be pleasantly surprised by this album.
This is less of a downer than that.
Who's this for?
Jesus freaks, I guess.
Yeah, and children of weirdly Christian adults.
Oh, yeah. This is for the abused children.
There it is. Okay. That brings us to final thoughts, Tim. I don't have a goddamn thing to say about this. What about you?
I've said way too much.
Then I have to ask the question. After going all the way through it, do you hate this album?
I just can't. I hate what this album represents. I hate a lot of things on this. I hate basically every stylistic choice. I hate everything they've done on this album. But this album is batshit insane, and it was fun to listen to. I will sing this album. I'll put this album on again. It's terrible. It's so terrible. Bad. But if I ever make another friend, I will lose them by playing this in the car. This is Lulu, but...
Full stop.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
This is Jesus Lulu.
It's Lulu, but more listenable.
Yes. Partly because it's not a 70-year-old man.
Yes. Dying of liver failure. Garrett, do you hate this?
No, I don't.
Balls.
Yeah.
You're gonna, because you're gonna get real tired of this in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I mostly enjoyed it. It's about 5 songs too long for me. Or maybe it's just 20 minutes too long.
Yeah, this would be much more enjoyable if at 3 minutes into every song it just stopped.
It's too long. Okay, that's it, folks. Tim hates it. I don't.
No, I don't hate it. I'm gonna make you hate it.
Right. As of today, we don't hate it. We may check in a few weeks to see if that has changed after Tim has subjected me to unconventional enhanced interrogation a la DC Talk. But until that day comes, we ask, please go to hatepod.com. You can get every episode in every format, except for if I haven't updated the website yet, which means you'll get most every episode, and eventually you'll get every one of them, but it just takes some time, so deal with it. You can also click on Contact Us in the upper left-hand corner. That's going to ask for an email address, but it's just so we can reply. We don't do anything with it. We mostly just delete it after. Or you can just email us directly at hatePodMail@gmail.com, and we want to hear from you. Send us your weird stories about these songs and albums, weird theories you may have. Send us your own versions of songs. We've had a lot of people beginning to sample things we've said on this very show and set them to a beat. That's a lot of fun. You can also send suggestions, episode ideas, prepisode ideas. We want them all. And most importantly, if you can, on whatever service you're using, and if you can't think of one, get on out to the old Apple podcast app and then rate, review, subscribe. Most importantly, throw the 5 stars up there and then get as weird as you want with the review. As we always say, 5 stars, get them out of the way, and then feel free to insult the shit out of us. We find it hilarious. But we do read those reviews, and if you're especially creative and or weird, we will feature them on a future prepisode. You can also find us on Instagram at HatePod, Twitter, it's Album HatePod. Garrett's Twitter is gharveytweets. Tim's Instagram is redacted. Facebook.com/HatePod, although we do not have the password for that account, so you will be screaming into an echo chamber of nothing. There's subreddits, there's Discord servers. I do not know that we have been put on the Wikipedia yet, Tim. What are you guys waiting for? We have a rich history with a tapestry of interweaving tales that should be all over Wikipedia. We should have one of the longest Wikipedias on Wikipedia.
Yes.
And yet we remain.
Every one of our listeners should be banned from editing Wikipedia by this point.
For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Tim Richardson. And on January 2nd, 2017, Garrett Harvey said, "I'll be your semi-glazed pig." On 11/3/2013, Garrett Harvey said, "On Halloween, I give out hummus."
All right, stop. You have to stop.
On 9/1/2016,
No, you're stopping.
Garrett Harvey said, "You do not have space madness, you have normal madness."
You did. You tried to gussy up your madness. All right, you're done.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. Well, I joined the Navy. I got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. I try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. Well, it's a lobster murder sex thing, the bleaching of her hair, full of salt on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides, the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now the week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast.